Hey everybody, Wayne here. In today's Let's Play, I'm going to be playing through a complete mission from Carrier Battle Group Solitaire, Deluxe Edition, designed by Joseph Miranda and published by Decision Games. This is, as you can tell from the name, a solitaire wargame where the Cold War gone hot in the North Atlantic. There are a series of missions you can carry out, or you can play through a campaign game. In this video, I'll be doing a single mission. I'll show you the setup, I'll show you the board, I'll show you how the game works, and then we'll go ahead and run through. So, all right, let's get down to the table. All right, so I have the board out here, and I have it all set up for the scenario or mission that I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be doing the sea control mission. When it comes to the setup here, I'm going to go ahead and run through it, but before I do that, I just want to explain everything that's on the board, and so you understand what you're seeing as I explain it and as we play. So first off, we have the whole board out here. Like I said, I have it all set up for one of the scenarios. Carrier Battle Group Solitaire on the top left. The middle area is the play area. Different routes are different colors according to the type of mission. So our sea control mission is actually on the blue route here. We pull up the mission orders table. So this will be the different missions you can do in the game. So there are a little variety of missions. We're going to be doing the sea control mission. So what our instructions are: secure the Denmark Strait, which Denmark Strait is up here, right? So we are starting here in the United Kingdom and working our way northwest across parts of the North Sea, Norwegian Sea, basically covering that gap, right, where those Soviet submarines and ships would have been making their way into the Atlantic to cause mayhem on our convoys, right? So we're securing the Denmark Strait. It is the blue route right here, just as a reminder. It will have 7 game turns, which I have marked on the turn record track. If there are any Soviet coastal defense units that get placed, there will be none for this scenario. The Soviet alert level die roll modifier is +1. I've already rolled for it. I'll explain that in a minute. Our objective is eliminate all Soviet units in the Denmark Strait attack route, and our carrier battle group occupies the Denmark Strait objective. Objective is the black triangle, so each route has their own black triangles, right? So basically you're trying to get from the United Kingdom to wherever your objective area is. We have 24 logistics points to spend. That'll be to purchase aircraft and missiles and crew. And then if doing campaign game, there's a bonus for winning the scenario. For the setup itself, like I mentioned before, you would either draw or pick your scenario. We pick sea control. Your game length gets set over here. We have 7 turns. Then you place the Soviet alert level. You're going to roll on a table. I already did all that. Our alert level is 2. The key thing to remember here at the Soviet alert level, you see at the top right of the map here, is that is the number of incident chits you're going to be drawing each turn. So generally speaking, although not all the incidents are negative, we want it to be a lower number. The Soviets, which is manned by the system, right, are taking control of the system, they are okay with a higher number. So we do want to get that from a 2 down to a 1. We definitely want it going any higher if possible. After that, you place your Soviet forces. So how you're drawing forces is they're randomized in 2 different cups. There is a cup with Soviet warships in it. So on the back side, it'll just have a silhouette, a random silhouette, and say Soviet warship. And on the front, it'll have the actual ship itself, such as this Soviet cruiser. And we can look at the sample unit. It's on the board here, so you can kind of see what each of the numbers mean. But basically, looking at a unit here, I'll have a graphic pop up. The top left is anti-air. The middle is, and I'll have a graphic pop up, so it may the graphic may take over anyway. But the top left will be anti-air, top middle anti-surface, top right anti-submarine. Any missiles on there show that it can hold anti-ship missiles. Bottom left, electronic warfare value. Bottom middle, defense. Bottom right, speed/range. Oh, there we go. Okay, the speed range on the Soviet units is ignored, however. Okay, so you have the Soviet warships, and then you also have a thing of Soviet standoff, it's called. So these are going to be either jets or missiles. There also are, they're called glitches, and that's the same thing with the warships, which shows you something, but really there's nothing there. So on the back, it'll have that. It'll say Soviet standoff. But on the front, you're going to have a glitch, or you're going to have a missile, or you're going to have a Soviet fighter of some kind. Or aircraft. I guess it's just not all fighters. Go ahead and put those on the map as well, on the board. When you're setting up for the place Soviet forces, you're determining how many battle groups there are based on the Soviet alert level. So it's 2. So there's going to be 2 battle groups. I have them placed already here and here. Holding boxes are in the top left for their ships. You then roll 1d6 for each of them, so it's very randomized. There's a lot of that randomness in this game, sometimes a little bit to detriment. But we have 1 Soviet warship in the battle group and 3 Soviet warships in Battle Group 2. So we can see that we don't know what they are yet until they get revealed, either because we're in that space or because they get revealed by intelligence, let's say, during the intelligence phase. I'll explain that in a minute. Okay, so after the Soviets are placed, they're placed however many battle groups are placed on the route. You roll to determine where they get placed. It's all random. Lots of randomness in this game. And these Soviet coastal defense units get placed. There are none in this scenario. It just depends on the scenario. After that, you set up your carrier. So we're going to have the Nimitz. Technically, there's also the USS Forrestal. I'm not going to have that in my game. That's just like an optional role. We're just going to have the Nimitz. And then what you do is you roll for the systems on your ship. So the ship display on the right here, the bottom right, you can see everything from leadership, CIC, leadership CAG, from flight deck, hangar, air defense weapons, propulsion, electronic warfare, hull integrity, and crew. You roll for CIC leadership and CAG leadership. And then, so those are random. So I've already rolled 3 and 4. And then the rest have a start spot you start the markers at. Those are things that either are going to influence rolls and then can be damaged, while if you suffer any attacks or when you suffer any attacks and hits from the Soviets. So we set up our carrier, already did all that. And then on the map, I have our Carrier Battle Group down here in marker United Kingdom. But the holding box is in the top right there. After that, you determine your escorts. You roll randomly, and it tells you exactly which ones, and then you just pick them, but it tells you how many of each type. So it's all predetermined based on, again, random rolling. In this case, I have 2 cruisers, I have 3 destroyers, and a frigate. After you've determined that, you then select your aircraft, crew, missiles, and cargo by spending logistics points. Remember, we had 24 logistics points. Spent them already. Like I said, I've already outfitted my Carrier Battle Group. I purchased... For missiles, I purchased 3 Harpoon anti-ship missiles, which placed on 3 of my ships that have the missile-capable marker. I purchased 2 squadrons of F-14 Tomcats, a squadron of A-6 intruders, and then 2 squadrons of SH-60 anti-submarine helicopters. And then I did purchase an electronic warfare crew member or additional crew or specialization, whatever you want to call it, upgrade here they placed in the crew area. In addition, I purchased a P-3 Orion anti-submarine aircraft, a very powerful, very good aircraft. It does have to come from the land. That's okay. I'm going to base it out of the United Kingdom. It's got a range of 13, so it can go almost the entire way. And I believe later on I could even base him at the Faroe Islands if necessary. So... all right, like I said, aircraft, crew, missiles, no cargo needed in this game. It's all set up. So we have the Soviets set up where they are, their battle groups, my units, my ships, my escorts, my aircraft. Remember, each of these is a squadron. Land-based aircraft, all the markers for for the actual carrier itself. Turn 1, game turn 1, we have 7 turns. 2, eliminate these Soviet battle groups, any other Soviets that come along, and make it to the Denmark Strait objective and survive, all in 7 turns. Let's see if we can do it. So, all right, let's dive into the playthrough itself. All right, before our first turn, let's just run through the sequence of play quick. First phase is the intelligence phase. You can take an intelligence action. Basically, you're rolling on a chart to determine if you're going to be able to examine enemy forces or possibly change the alert level. There's mostly positive to gain, but there's something you could lose. So it is technically optional, although generally speaking, you're going to take it every turn. Next, after the intelligence phase, is the logistics phase. Here's where you can repair damage, do replenishment, or trade any cargo. After that is the USN, so United States Navy, ship movement phase. This is where you are moving your ships. You move them a number of spaces up to the regular movement allowance, which is basically as fast as your slowest ship. So the number in the bottom right, number speed range. So usually, in this case, it's going to be 4. So we have a couple of our destroyers and a frigate are at 4 speed. So that'd be the maximum spaces we can move in a turn. We move 2 more if we want to move at max speed, but we have to spend a fuel to do that. Fuel and ammo, by the way, are 2 things I did purchase during the initial setup of the mission. I think I forgot to mention that. So fuel allows you to do that maximum speed, so like flank speed, and then ammo is going to be when your actual escort ships conduct any fire. They're going to spend an ammo point. All right, so the movement, you move. After that is the incident phase. This is where you draw a number of incident chips equal to that Soviet alert level. You resolve them one at a time. After that is the USN launch phase. So you are going to launch any standoff weapons, which standoff weapons are either aircraft or cruise missiles, from your carrier battle group, right? Or, any land-based aircraft, launch them, and then move them to the target space, as long as it's within range. Then is the combat phase. So if you have any of those standoff weapons in the same space as Soviet ships, or if your carrier battle group is the same space as any Soviet ships, you then conduct combat. I'll go into all that combat sequence when we actually conduct a combat, which there definitely will be some. And then after that is the objective phase, which is you're checking to see, okay, hey, if you reach your objective, what do you have to do? Anything for the objective, to complete it. Then is the USN recovery phase. So you land all of your air units that you had launched during the launch phase, just move them back to wherever they're supposed to go, either carrier, right, based onto the flight deck, or back to any land-based airfields you launch from. And then you have end of turn phase. So advance a turn marker, repeat the sequence of play unless it's the very last turn and you've completed it. If you haven't completed your objective by then, you are going to lose. All right. Let's jump into the very first turn. All right, so turn 1, intelligence phase. We're definitely going to try an intelligence action. How do you conduct that? Very simple. There's an intelligence table that you will check, and I'll have that pop up on the screen. I'll have a bunch of different tables that do pop up on the screen for you guys. The intelligence table, you can see what we want to do is determine our intelligence value. That'll give us the column to roll on, and then we'll roll a 1d6. Everything is 1d6 in this game. All right, so our intelligence value, you start off with, you pick a ship and use its electronic warfare value. We're going to go ahead and pick our Aegis cruiser with the intelligence value of, where is it? Is it 5? Yes, with 5. So we're going to pick the Aegis cruiser with intelligence value of 5. Then you're going to see if you have any electronic warfare crew on your carrier, which, what do you know? Dun, 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 we do. Remember, we purchased a crew upgrade of electronic warfare. I already knew that would come in handy. So that 5 goes up to a 6. And then we check our carrier CIC value. Our leadership CIC is a 3. So the 3 means we'll get a +1. So we get a total of 7 total. So now we check the 7 plus column. This is the very far right column. And we're going to go ahead and roll a 1d6 on that table. All right, we got a 6. A 6 on that column, and that table is JE/IB. So JE is jam enemy, or IB, intelligence breakthrough. So we get to go ahead and pick what we want. So jam enemy would be lower Soviet alert level by 1, or IB would be select 2 spaces containing Soviet units and reveal them. Ooh. Well, although I want to get that alert level down, I want to see what's going on with these battle groups. So we're going to go ahead and pick the intelligence breakthrough. So select 2 spaces. So we both the Soviet Battle Group 1 and Soviet Battle Group 2 and reveal their units. So Soviet Battle Group 1, they have 1 warship. Flip it over, reveal it. It is a cruiser. And Soviet Battle Group 2, we pick that space. And he has 3. First one is a destroyer. Second is another destroyer. And finally, a submarine. I wanted that. I know that the alert level higher, we're going to have to select more incident hits, but they're not all bad. Plus, I just wanted to get those units revealed. In the future, we're definitely going to focus on getting that alert level down to 1. Okay, that's it for the intelligence phase. Now you would do, you may do the logistics phase if you want, which obviously we're not going to be doing any of that. So now we go to the USN ship movement phase. For movement, we definitely are, I think we're going to head out. We're going to close in on, because even our aircraft missiles, they all have, a range of 3 on the missiles, aircraft, the bomb. Well, they actually could reach, but we're going to close in a little bit. We want to get a little closer to that cruiser. So let's go ahead and move out. We have a movement. So basically, right, our slowest ship is a 4. So our base movement is 4. Move up to that, right? So 1, 2, 3. And is that how close we want to go? Do we want to go any closer? 1, 2. No, we're definitely gonna stay 2 away because we're gonna want to probably launch some missiles here, or maybe some aircraft. So we'll stop right here. All right, we stopped there for our movement. Now we're done with the movement phase. Now we go to the incident phase. This is where we draw a number of chits equal to the alert level, which it's 2, so we're going to draw 2 incident chits. Lucky us. All right, so I drew 2 chits here, 2 incident chits. Definitely randomized. I definitely did not just pick them to show you guys different parts of the game. All right, so first one, let's go ahead and reveal it. Contact cruise missile. So, contact cruise missiles. We roll a 1d6 and draw that number of Soviet standoff units, returning to pull anything other than missile units. So remember, the standoffs are going to have aircraft and missile units. Also return to the pool any missile units with insufficient range to reach our battle group from the nearest Soviet base or Soviet battle group, which 1, 2, I'm pretty sure they all can reach 2 spaces. I know our harpoons can reach 3, so I'm not sure on the Soviets. I guess we'll find out shortly. Remaining missiles attack that Soviet our battle group, carrier battle group, during the combat phase. So it's not an immediate attack. We resolve it later during the actual combat phase. So, all right, so let's go ahead and roll a 1d6 to see how many there are to draw anyway. Drew a 2, so that's nice. So we only draw 2 of the standoff weapons. And the first one is a glitch, so that is not anything. Glitch in the radar. And the second is a aircraft. So you do not suffer anything as a result of the contact cruise missile. However, I do kind of want to see one. So, oh, that's a cruise missile right there. What kind is that? Like we have our little handy dandy, various anti-ship cruise missile. That's an actual cruise missile. The other one would be anti-ship missile. Okay, so like an airdrop cruise missile. Anyway, we'll say 1. We'll say 1. I know. I dodged the bullet, but I want to show you guys the game. I want to show you guys how it works. So that cruise missile will be placed in deployment during the actual combat here. So we'll put the contact cruise missile back in the incident cup. And the last incident chit, second one, Soviets interdict bases. So what that is roll 1d6 for each NATO base. On a 6, place a crippled marker on it. So NATO bases are where there's stars, right? So, and they're also, I believe they're all covered with, they're all like squares too. So, United Kingdom, Shetland Islands, Faroe Islands, Jamain, Northern Norway. So basically, roll 1d6 for each of them. If you get a 6, we're going to place crippled marker on there, and then are no longer able to resupply or launch aircraft from that. So the only one I give crap about is the United Kingdom, especially. So hope we don't get a 6. And we get 5. Oh, thank God. Shetland Islands, Faroe. Okay, I don't care about any of the rest of them. Janmayan. Nah, I don't care. Northern Norway. Nothing. Whew. So they interdict the bases, but not good enough to keep us from utilizing those bases. Whew. We'll put that back. So from the incident phase, right, we ended up having that cruise missile, which will be coming in hot during the combat phase, which I do expect there to be combat. Certainly combat in with us. So actually, let me put it here because it's going to be coming in and attacking our actual carrier battle group here. So that's it for the incident phase. Now we go to the USN launch phase, so we can launch any standoff weapons, aircraft, or cruise missiles from our battle group or bases, moving them to target space. I want to take out that cruiser. I don't like it looking at me. So what we're going to do is we are going to, let's do this. Let's launch 2 cruise missiles. Should we do 2? Or should we do an aircraft? Actually, let's launch a cruise missile. And let's launch our A6 intruder squadron. Both of them we're going to launch in a launch phase. Launch them towards Soviet Battle Group 1. So they go ahead, move in, sound effects are free, and move into the space. Range of 6 and a range of 3, so 1, 2. Easy for them to go after that. And I know it's just that one cruiser. Okay, that's it for the launch phase. Now we go to the combat phase. So any combat where there are units together, right, opposing forces. So we're going to have a combat in our space where the Nimitz is with our carrier battle group because of that damn Soviet cruise missile we drew. And the Soviet battle group is going to be under attack from our intruder, and then also from the Harpoon anti-ship missile we launched. So let's go ahead and get into the battle phase. Let's handle the one with our carrier first, and then we'll do the other one. All right, first off, we are checking for contact and determining tactical edge. There's going to be combat, or it's going to be contact, excuse me, because of part of the drawing an incident shit. So, technically, if they're in the same spot, they still may not have contact. In this case, they're going to be no matter what, but we still need to determine who has tactical edge. So, we're going to roll 1d6 with die roll modifiers are our CRC leadership, if any USN ships are involved, which they are, because it's where our battle group is, right? So, check our CIC, which is 3. Then we check for our electronic warfare factor of one of our ships, which we'll go ahead and do the Aegis Cruiser, which is 5. So 5, 6, 7, 8, a total of 8. And then +1 if we have an EW crew, which we do, that's 9. Minus the Soviet alert level, 2, so we go down to 7. We don't look at the electronic warfare value, and then there are no other modifiers. Yep, no other modifiers. So you'd roll, but there's no need to roll because with plus whatever it is, +7, +8, +9, yeah, as long as you get a +1 or higher, you get the tactical edge. U.S. Navy does. If it's -1 or less, the Soviets get the tactical edge. So we will have the tactical edge. All right. So how does that work? Well, we're going to place them, determining first one who does not have tactical edge has to place first. So deploy in the tactical display. Side without tactical edge sets up first. So for the Soviets, you're going to unroll on this table to see where they go. Very simple. The standoff weapon, you roll a 1d6, we roll a 3, so that they appears in the outer zone. And then we are going to check for our units. We're going to go ahead and deploy them how we want to. And then what will happen is will be all the combat will be in the outer zone, and then any combat in the inner zone. So we'll put the Nimitz obviously in the inner zone. That's bad, more protected. We're going to put who we have best for anti-air here. So probably be Aegis Cruiser is easily the best. He can go in the outer zone, along with, we'll do this other cruiser as well. Actually, we'll do a frigate. And then the rest will be on the inner zone with the Nimitz. And should have kept the missiles with them, but that's okay. That's okay. All right, so you have placed them on the tactical display. Now you're going to conduct combat on the outer zones and then combat on the inner zones. Combat procedure. So basically, all the types of Soviet units, so in this case, the missile, and then U.S. Navy standoff units, so remember missiles or aircraft, are allowed to fire in one of the 3 phases. So combat has 3 phases, A, B, and C. Anti-air fire, anti-surface fire, and anti-submarine fire. Then you have the after any anti-air fire, anti-surface fire, and then anti-submarine fire in the outer zone. Any surviving units go to the inner zone, conduct combat, and then it ends. And I'll do the actual firing and how to do that once we actually get to it. So starting off in the outer zone, you look at first off anti-aircraft fire. That's what happens first, and then amongst anti-aircraft fire, the side with tactical edge conducts all their anti-aircraft fire first, implementing the results immediately. The side does not have it and conducts theirs, implementing the results, and then you go on to the next. Obviously, the cruise missile doesn't have anti-air. It has anti-surface, right? That's what it's doing. It's the only value it has. It's going to go after one of my ships, which once it gets to the inner zone, I'm going to tell you ahead of time. I am almost positive. I'll have to look, but I'm pretty sure it's going to go after my my carrier. So hopefully we shoot it down in the outer zone. Okay, so here's how we do this. So like I said, first off, outer zone combat. So that'd be our cruiser, frigate, and the Soviet anti-ship missile, cruise missile. But anti-air fires first, which thankfully we're going to fire at them. So our Aegis Cruiser with its 5 is going to go ahead and fire at the cruise missile, trying to take it out. What does that mean by 5? It means it gets to roll 5 dice, and any 5 or 6 is a hit. And no 5s or 6s. So absolutely bomb that, and I don't mean that literally. Pun intended, though. So absolutely nothing happens from there. Now the frigate, as the cruise missile gets closer, the frigate activates its anti-missile batteries and starts shooting. It has a 3, so we roll 3d6. Each 5 or 6 is a hit. We got 1 6, so we got 1 hit on the cruise missile. Now we roll to see what happens. On a 1, 2, or 3, there will be no effect. On a 4, 5, or 6, we will eliminate it. So we need a 4, 5, or 6 to have the best shot to get rid of it before it even gets to the inner zone. And a 5. So thankfully, it is eliminated. So the frigate, the Aegis cruiser, embarrasses itself, even with its high-tech systems, the latest in the fleet. No good. This old school frigate, what is a Perry-class frigate, I believe? Oliver Hazard Perry class. So yeah, good job. Shoots down this Soviet cruise missile before we get to the inner zone. Whew. All right, so what you do is check for if we have eliminated any Soviet missile units. Yep, that is worth, it's worth 0, huh? That's a bummer. So goes back into the Soviet standoff bin. Unfortunately, missiles are worth 0. Even cruise missiles? Other Soviet air units. Yeah, it is, unfortunately. Okay, so anyway, combat is resolved there. So thankfully, so what would have happened, say the frigate had missed? It would have went to the inner zone. It would not have went after the outer zone. It would not have went after one of my ships. Actually, maybe it would have. Hang on. I'd have to figure that out here. Soviet targets, that check the player aid. So Soviet target. So because it is a missile, and the missile would see if there's any, it would go after the Aegis cruiser possibly. So actually it possibly would have went after the cruiser there. So, and what you do is anytime there is a multiple units, the Soviets only go after one at a time. So say there have been 3 missiles with my 2 naval units, they would have probably went after one after the cruiser, one would have went after the frigate, and one would have continued to the inner zone. I think that's how it would have happened. So anyway, all right, so we survived the combat, so everyone happily goes back to the holding box, and we survived that first combat of the day. Wonderful. And missiles, again, I probably should have kept track where they were. That's all right. Okay. All right, so now we will conduct the combat over in the Soviet battle group here. So just like before, let's go ahead and move. Soviet battle group, there is their cruiser. And we will have our intruders and our things. We have to determine our, harpoon. And we have to determine tactical edge. This gets to be a little bit different. There are none of our ships involved, right? Because it's a range attack, standoff attack. So we check for our CAG leadership, which is 4. It's actually better. So 4 plus the electronic warfare factor of any plane. So it's 3. So 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 7, and then 1 plus 1 from that. So a total of 8. So plus 8, once again, plus 8, 2 plus 8. Oh, not 8, it'd be minus that. So 6, minus 3. So plus 3. Not in a base, so plus 3. So that becomes a 5, plus 5. Again, anything from a 1 or higher, positive 1, is going to be your tactical edge. You get tactical edge. So we deploy the Soviet cruiser first. 6. So 6 as a warship deploys to the outer zone. And then let's go ahead and do... we deploy, so we'll do our harpoon from the outer zone, and then we'll do our intruders from the inner zone. That'll give harpoon kind of a chance to inflict damage on it, either sink it or inflict damage on it first before our intruders get in there. So should I do that way? Yeah, let's do it that way. Okay, so we have everything set up here. Outer zone is going to resolve first, and then obviously, like I said, it's going to be first, right, anti-air, then anti-surface, then anti-submarine, and tactical edge first, non-tactical edge second. First off, anti-air. We don't have any anti-air. That's not where we're focused, right? We're attacking a surface ship. So he is actually going to go. So the Soviet cruiser with his anti-air of 3 is going to shoot at my harpoon. Just like any of it hits on a 5 or 6. A 6, so he gets 1 hit on the harpoon. So we're going to roll to see what happens on hit on the cruise missile. 5, it is eliminated. So he does shoot down the harpoon before it can get him. And now he moves into the inner zone. And now we will conduct combat in the inner zone. He does get to shoot first with his anti-aircraft fire, which is obviously a big bummer there. I was looking. Anti-aircraft fire, anti-surface, anti-submarine. Yep, so he gets to shoot first at our intruders as they're coming in. That might have been a mistake. So he gets to shoot 3d6. 5 is a hit, so he gets 1 hit. And roll 4 damage. 2 is no effect. So thankfully, they was no effect. 1 or 2 was no effect on him. 3 would be withdraw. 4 is damage. Then 5 or 6 is eliminated. So our squadron survives, and now our squadron is going to attack. So now we go from, we did more anti-air. Now we'll do anti-surface fire. So they have a 6 anti-surface. So let's give it right back to you. 3, 4, 5. Actually, I'm short a die here. All right, so 5 or 6s are hit. 1 hit. And then it's a lucky die. I want to roll that one. It is a lucky die. 2 hits. Beautiful. All right, 2 hits on a surface ship. That's not our carrier. And a 3 and a 4. The 3 is damage and the 4 is damage. We inflict, you put damage points on them. What is his? He has a 3 defense, I believe. So, any unit incurs 1 or more damage points. Yep. So we put a. Hang on. I thought I had. Where is it? Can't find it here. Up 2. So you have these damage chits, right? So you put a damage, and we got 2, right? So 2 damage on him. Any number of damage markers equals his defense value. His defense is 3. So he's damaged. He's not sunk yet. However, if 1 or more damage points reduce all its attack factors by 50%. Defense strength is never affected. A damaged ship must suffer the elimination of 1 cruise missile it may be carrying, which doesn't apply here because it doesn't matter. So it is damaged, not destroyed, and that is it for combat. You don't sit there and go back and forth. It is 1 per. So we're done there. So it is the end of combat. So he will go back to a Battle Group 1 box with 2 damage on him. And he will go out to that area. That's where he was, in that area. Okay, so that is it for the combat phase. We completed an entire combat phase. Now the objective phase, right? If we're in the objective, we're not. So no worries there. U.S. Center recovery phase, land all aircraft, any air units that are still out, which we have our intruder, flies back to the Carrier Battle Group, and lands safely on the flight deck. And then end of turn. So we advance a turn marker to turn 2. And, well, it's not the end of the turn, so now we go to the next turn and repeat the sequence of play, starting with the intelligence phase. So we just completed the very first turn of our mission on Carrier Battle Group Solitaire, Sea Control. All right, turn 2. Before we get started, I did miss something. Good news for me, though. There's a good thing here. By damaging the Soviet cruiser, I gain 3 victory points. Now it says damage/cripple a Soviet cruiser. Then there's all the different ships, different values. 3, I don't know if that means 3 for each time or just for damaging one/crippling him. I'm going to think it just means damaging him. I don't think I get it for each time, so I'll just stick with the 3. But I will gladly take the 3 VPs here. Okay, first off, as usual, it's the intelligence phase. So we may attempt it, and we are going to attempt it. As usual, I believe I should be on the 7. But just to double check, 7 column on the intelligence value intelligence table. So we have our base is the Electronic warfare value of a ship. Aegis cruiser is 5. And then +1 for that, so 6. +7. Total of +7. Or I should say a total of 7. So yep, so a total of 7. Go ahead and roll 1d6. We want at least a 3 or higher. 3 or higher, 3 or higher. 4. Beautiful. 4 is D, which is deception. Select one of the following. Reduce the Soviet alert level by 2. Oh, nice. Or add 1 turn to the scenario. Well, the turn I'm not worried about. Let's reduce this Soviet alert level down to 1. We can't reduce it lower than 1, unfortunately, but at least we got it down to 1. Beautiful. I would definitely take that. All right, logistics phase. Repair, replenish, trade. No need to do any of that. Move on to the ship movement. I mean, we do want to keep moving. Should we move to the same location as the damaged cruiser? I suppose we can. Why not, right? So let's get some action here. So let's go ahead and move 1, 2. So we will go into the same location as the Soviet battle group, knowing that it's damaged to the degree it is, and it's only the 1 cruiser. I'm not worried about it. All right. So after the movement, we go to the incident phase. This is where we will draw one of the incident cups or incident chits because we only have a Soviet alert level of 1. All right, our incident chit, definitely randomly drawn. I didn't pick it. Minefield. Oh, no. Let me see. Minefield. This is applied only if in a choke point or Soviet base. Whew, lucky us. So choke point would be these red squares. So if you see these locations that have a red square around them, or actual Soviet base, in that case, you stop there, by the way. So it's not just randomly you're going to be there. So when we're moving, for instance, towards Denmark Strait here, in our objective, we're move, and assuming nothing else is going on, when we move, if we have extra movement points, doesn't matter, we're going to have to stop right here at that choke point. So at that point, if we had, say, drawn the minefield, we'd have to roll 1d6 for each carrier. On a 6, it receives a hull damage, and then roll for each other ship. On a 6, it is damaged. So thankfully, we're not in choke point and not at Soviet base, so no effect on that one. Whew, lucky us. Okay, time for the launch phase. So we launch anything, anything in the combat. Which, well, we're definitely going to try to take out this cruiser here. I'm not going to use any of my missiles. We're going to save them for the second battle group or any other units that pop up. For the record, Soviet units can pop up outside of the battle group thanks to the chits here. So, for instance, there's Soviet reinforcements, which you add extra ships and such to the battle group. There's also an ambush, which is a really bad one, really strong one, really tough one, almost too crazy, where you're going to face 1d6 Soviet standoff units and 1d6 Soviet warships. So if you roll bad, you could have 6 standoff, 6 warships, boom, right where you are and taking you on, which is, if you happen to roll that, absolutely devastating. Like I said, the randomness is a huge part of this game, perhaps a little too much. Okay. Let's see what we're going to do here. Launch. Yeah, we're going to launch, obviously, but I'm not worried about I just want to take out that ship. So we'll launch. I guess our intruders. Intruders are the only. So we'll launch the. Should we save them? Nah, forget it. Let's do it. So we'll just put the intruder and launch. Sorry, I'm going crazy here. We'll launch our A6 intruders. I'm going to put them above the Soviet deployment table just as a reminder. All right, now do the combat phase. Yep, so now we will have our combat. So let's also put the Soviet unit here since we're in Battle Group 1, so we're fighting. We have to determine the tactical edge as usual. So contact and determine tactical edge. So actually, let's see if we have combat or tactical edge first. Combating, have contact. Sorry, I can't talk right now. I say some pretzels, my bad. But again, we have all those pluses. I just can't imagine. It should be, we get a tactical edge. So we have U.S. ships involved. It's the CIC, so that is 3. Plus our electronic warfare factor of a ship involved, which the cruiser, let's say, the Aegis cruiser, it's a 5. That's 8. Plus that 9. Minus the alert level of 1, so that drops to 8. His electronic warfare is only 1 because of his damage. So that's 7. So plus 7. So literally can't fail. So definitely gonna have contact, combat, and we get tactical edge. So he will deploy first. He's a warship. He rolled a 1, so he will be in the inner. we definitely gotta take him out ASAP then. All right. So we'll put everyone on the inner. Yeah. I don't know how we slipped through. And everyone else goes in the inner as well. So I wish the tactile display boxes were bigger. Like, I don't understand why there are these tiny little boxes. Like, combat happens, I mean, that's core of the game, right? So why the hell aren't they bigger? But whatever. All right, so let's line everybody up here. So basically it's everybody. Okay, so we have, we figured out the tactical edge. Now we conduct the combat. First would be in the outer zone. There are no units, so there's no outer zone combat. So we go to the inner zone. And again, the 3 phases, right? A, B, C, anti-air, anti-surface, anti-submarine, anti-air. Well, he is going to fire at my intruders. However, his anti-air is halved, which his anti-air was what? What is it? 3 before? And it drops to half, and you drop the remainder, right? So it's only a 1. So it's a 1. So it hits on a 5 or 6. 6. So he still hits, even with 1 die roll. All right, and then we roll for damage. A 2. Thankfully, against aircraft, a 2 is no effect. Whew, lucky us. All right. So he fired at anti-air. So that is it for the fire. So one of the things that remember, and it's very key, is that but it would fire because there is the A-10 intruders. It would fire the anti-air. But I don't know if I got to this saying this, is that the Soviets only fire once in the outer zone and once in the inner zone. So they can only fire maximum of 2 times at a battle. So we may start in the outer zone first, which he did not. We can fire during each phase and each of the zones. So I could fire up to 6 times. So just give us a little bit of an advantage there. Anyway, he fires at the intruders. No effect. Does it hit, but it's no effect. So now we will get to do, and that was anti-air fire, which there's no anti-air for them. They don't have any aircrafts. That's why we didn't do anything. Now anti-surface, which will basically be all of ours if we want to. Let's do the A6 intruder first, since we did launch him. He has, remember, what is it, a 6 anti-surface. So hits on a 5 or 6. All misses. Unbelievable. And last one. 3, that's a miss as well. So A6 intruder. Good job, buddy. So let's go ahead and spend an ammo to fire our surface ships. We can fire, basically you spend an ammo, you can fire any of them, all of them, whatever. So we'll fire all of them. Just roll through until we basically sink this cruiser here. So the, let's see, what do we got here? Our nuclear powered cruiser here, which would be, what would that be? CGN, that would be California class nuclear powered guided missile cruiser. Sweet. 5, a 5 anti-surface. Let's roll for him. That's 1 hit. Roll to see what happens. Against a surface ship, we want a 3 or higher and it'll be sunk. A 4, boom, that causes damage. Goes to 3 damage, he only has 3 defense, so he is sunk. Boom, 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 to the bottom of the North Atlantic. Let's see. We sunk or eliminated a sink a Soviet cruiser. That is worth 5. And I think you add on to the 3. I'm going to. So we got 8 victory points for that. Beautiful. And Soviet unit sunk, destroyed. Definitely goes to there. Beautiful. Took him out. Let's move everyone back to where they belong. Get rid of the marker, since may you need it in the future. But for now, that Soviet battle group has been eliminated. God bless America and the U.S. Navy. All right, beautiful. Okay. All right, so that's it for combat, right? Yep, that is it for combat. We go to the objective phase. We're not any objectives, so no worries there. Recovery phase, so our A6 intruder just lands safely on the flight deck. And end of turn. Advance a turn marker to turn 3, and we go on to the next stage. We're going to continue working our way down the line and try to get to our objective. We have, well, the rest of 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and at the end of 7. So we have 5 turns to make it, any more fighting, and make it to our objective. We're cruising here. I think we're cruising. We eliminated 1 battle group. It was a weaker one, though. We have a much stronger one coming up. well, sort of stronger, 2 destroyers and a submarine. Thankfully, I have a bunch of anti-submarine assets I've been waiting to use, so that'll be coming up in the future. But for now, I think I'm gonna end this video. But otherwise, this gives you guys now with this video, I don't know how long it's gonna be at this point, but a good idea of how the game works. Hopefully you saw some setup. I explained everything. You got to kind of see how the different mechanisms, everything acts together, the tables, the charts, how combat is with this tactical display, and your objective, your point, right? Depending on your scenario, you're basically on one of these different colored routes. You're traveling on the route, destroying Soviets, getting to your objective, and performing your objective, even if it's simple as this one, is basically get to the end of the line and eliminate any Soviets along the way. So that's it for this video. If you made it this far, I would appreciate a thumbs up if you liked the video. And of course, a subscription. It's free. Click it. Doesn't hurt you at all, but it does help me to get more games to show off to you guys. So until next time, everybody, later.